It's great to see that so many of the Republican stalwarts are showing up to give their support to President Trump in this ridiculous, disgusting trial. I think everybody, even the people who don't like Trump, are looking at this and scratching their heads and saying, why on earth are the taxpayers' dollars being used for such a ridiculous show? Alvin Bragg should be disbarred for this. And so should Juan Merchan. And, you know, I call him Juan Merchant because he's going to make some money out of this through his daughter, who's making millions as a Democrat consultant. Merchan himself is a donor to Biden. This whole thing is really a travesty. It's an embarrassment, I think, to the judicial system, and an embarrassment to truth, and an embarrassment to the Democrats. It's only making Donald Trump stronger.
Governor, your daughter, now the governor in Arkansas, former press secretary under President Trump, she, I think, would do a better job handling this situation. But Karine Jean-Pierre yesterday was asked about all the support that Trump's getting outside the courthouse. And she says that she can't comment because of the Hatch Act and because it involves the 2024 election. Take a look.
Was it appropriate for Speaker Johnson to show up at the trial of the former president today?
So look, I can't speak to, don't want to comment, obviously, as this is related to 2024 elections, and I can't speak to the Speaker's schedule. That is something for him to decide on. And
Governor, what'd you make of that? Because I guess you could say that literally about anything. You could find a connection to the election. But this is just the trial of a candidate. But the question was, what do you make of the support that candidate is getting?
Well, I think it's interesting. You know, Dan Mandis, who is a really excellent talk show host in Nashville, Tennessee, he has given her a great name, Karine Jean-Pierre. And I think every time I listen to her, I cringe at some of the answers. This is nonsense when she hides behind the Hatch Act on some things she doesn't want to address, but then she goes out and overtly talks political issues all the stinking time. You mentioned that my daughter would do a better job than her. Just to be blunt, hey, Rob, Elmer Fudd would do a better job than Karine Jean-Pierre. It's an embarrassment to the White House, and it's why they have to trot John Kirby out most of the time if they're really wanting to give substantive answers to the reporters who gather there, most of whom just go to give a tongue bath to the feet of Joe Biden every single day. So it's a disgusting display. Once again, we as taxpayers are funding it, and we're just not getting our money's worth.
Yeah, and as you know, Governor Michael Cohen took the stand yesterday. He was cross-examined. He'll be cross-examined again on Thursday. We know that he is a convicted liar. We don't believe a word he's saying. But do you think the jury is buying anything he's selling?
The tough part is that this is a jury from New York that is about as maybe unbiased as I am about my daughter. So I'm not sure that there's going to be a decent trial, but let's just remember, the good news is only one juror has to wake up enough through this nonsense and say, this is crazy. There is no crime. We're weeks into this trial. They haven't outlined anything that the president did wrong. And the only witnesses they bring up, basically, they might as well be from Cher's song, Gypsies, Tramps, and Thieves. No credible witnesses have testified. Even the ones that the prosecutors brought did more good for Donald Trump than they did for the prosecution. So I cannot imagine that a responsible, reasonable jury would look at what they've seen and say, yep, there's a crime here. And I'd like to think that at least one of them, which is all it takes, one juror would say, I'm not voting for this. I don't care how much I dislike Donald Trump or Republicans. I'm simply not going to completely lose my integrity by pretending that this is all okay, because it isn't okay.
Such a good point. Governor, just quickly, what'd you make of Antony Blinken on stage playing Neil Young, Rockin' in a Free World?
You know, what he should play is Three Dog Night's song, Liar, because this is an administration that has lied to the people of Israel, lied to the prime minister there, and lied to the world. They're going to be with them ironclad, they keep saying. And it's just, you know, an embarrassment. I'll spot him on his guitar playing. Fine, go for it. Knock yourself out. But go down to Israel and play something that would just show a little level of support for people who have experienced the most horrific attack on their civilians since the Holocaust.
Yeah.
We've got to stand with Israel and stand with the Jewish people. And this administration seems to be schizophrenic in doing that.